Gentlemen, Peter Straub, Mark Weinberg. How we doing, buddies?
I'm doing very well. How are you?
Doing great. What's up?
I'm doing great. Thanks. Nice to have you on this Wednesday morning. So we've been putting in some work, guys. We've got Streamlined Business Media rocking and rolling. We've got multiple clients. Obviously, Streamline's been working my businesses with a lot of success. I'm actually quite surprised how much success we've had. And I'm very, very pleased with how little I've had to open any of my social media platforms. Like I've opened zero. I don't think I've opened one in at least 6 weeks. And yet I still get the email reports. Oh, you get 80 views on this video in LinkedIn. And oh, you got 50 views here.
That's
and
great.
People have called me, and I know you guys know some of these stories, but I just want to share kind of my favorite one so far is, as you guys know, I've had a major back injury. When I was laying on my back for 3 weeks, absolutely worthless, my business partner on the private lending side took my videos that I recorded months ago and went and raised $1 million in a month doing it. So talk about a testament to the power of media, simple media, right? Talking head media. And even when you're out, right? Even when you're sick, even when you're, you've got a bulging or herniated disc in bed for weeks, you can still be profiting and your business can still hum to a degree with the media we've been creating. So I guess first and foremost, I want to thank you both for helping me put this together and all the benefits that it's made for me and my humble little entrepreneurial ventures. And I'm just excited to do that for not only you guys, but for all our friends, for all our colleagues, for anybody who would benefit from, like Mark said, benefit from an extra 1,000 videos a year out there in the marketplace, reminding people what you do and spreading your knowledge in your industry. So I do want to ask a bunch of questions. And Mark, I'm going to start with you. You've watched this go down before, right? You've watched people build media campaigns. You've watched people spend hundreds of thousands, even millions. And
not that much.
and I want some feedback on what we're doing, our simplistic model. I call it the sausage model, right? We're just making sausage.
Yeah.
I want your feedback on this. I mean, we're 6 months into it. What do you think?
The first thing that's always worth mentioning in this conversation is that I came into it with like a misunderstanding. I had a lot of like a legacy social media idea, and I wasn't completely wrong, but I was wrong enough where I kind of had to take a step back and get rearranged a little bit inside the head. And a good example of this model, although this is not exactly what I'm talking about, is how people think social media works. They think that, these influencers and the people who have the high level of virality, they're just kind of winging it. And they're like, oh, look, I'm doing this. Unless you're doing like thirst trap type stuff, like girls in bathing suits or something, which they probably can get away with just posting a cute pic and getting thousands upon thousands of views. Everything else is planned. It's planned weeks, months in advance. It's stuff that was shot, in another quarter of the year that's been going through the process. It's things that are planned out 2, 3, 4 months ahead. And that is the underlying truth of a lot of the successful social media, business media, any media out there. And that's where we come in, because we can provide some coaching, some support, some enthusiasm, help kickstart a lot of people. But really, you kind of get into our meat grinder of the sausage factory. And all of a sudden, no, you do have to produce. But that production is as small as possible, as streamlined as possible. If you can get on, just like we're on StreamYard right now. I have a basic mic and preamp set up here. This is what I'm using for monitoring. It was a couple settings adjustments. You do this for about an hour a week with a little bit of planning and coordination. That's a chunk of your work. That's the biggest chunk of your work done as far as getting your voice out there and everything else that's going to raise your exposure. And people don't talk about that honestly. People think that, oh, I can just wing it And I just did a video the other day. I was speaking to one of our clients, but I made it into a generic blog post. I said, you don't want to get into a hand to mouth situation where you're like scrambling for content, you're compromising, or even worse, you vanish for a month because life got busy. So we're really enabling people to have that runway of posts. Get on there, crush it for a couple months, get all this stuff in there, upload it into our system, and we'll just trickle it out at a good frequency for you. You can take your month off if you want, but a lot of the ways that people jump into it is exactly why your statistic, Chris, most podcasts fail before they hit 20, high 90s fail. This is why you don't have the runway. You don't have the support. You're doing everything yourself. So you know what? Do what you do best. Record what you know about your business space. Bring people in that you like talking to that are good at engaging conversations. Record it, ship it over to us, and kind of forget about it. Like just move on. Keep doing that. Let us handle the sausage making as the case may be.
Peter and I started this about 6 months ago. And first I got the AI and I got a little helper, but mostly I was recording and then geeking out on that recording and chopping it up for many, many hours. And it was completely unsustainable, right? Because I've got better things to do with my life than edit video. And so we came up with this idea, brought Peter on board, and he learned the systems and kind of streamlined it to, call it level 1. But our whole thing at the beginning was get to 100 videos, right? So Peter, talk to me about getting me to that 100 video mark. What you saw, the progress, eventually at least on my end is eventually I stopped watching my own videos. I stopped listening to my own voice. I just trusted you. I would just record, upload, and be done. Tell me what kind of your experience has been watching this and getting this going.
Yeah, I think that it's been really fun to watch the evolution, because thinking back to those first few videos when it would take me, hours to get through, one video of yours chopped up into enough different posts. And then at the time when you were starting these recordings, you had some rules about what can be said, what can't be said, your NMLS number. There's a couple other ones that now, I have to go back and check all my notes, but I wanted to make sure that I wasn't posting on your behalf and getting you in trouble. So that was like a big, we had like a little redirection conversation. But to be honest, the first 100 videos, it went a lot quicker than I thought, but they were pretty bad at the beginning. Like I didn't know what I was doing. You were still trying to help coach me through it. So you didn't know how to coach me because I didn't know how to take direction. But I think by the time we got to 100, you stopped checking them because they, the consistency kind of settled in, and we found a rhythm. So it's not like we're doing anything at Streamlined that anybody else can't do. It's just we're doing stuff that people don't want to do. And we've kind of scaled it up and simplified it so that all you have to do, like if you can open your computer, press play, talk into the mic for an hour, then you can have content generated, like Mark said, at kind of like a consistent frequency. You don't have to record it every day. So I think what we've kind of built here is uniquely simple. And I think that's why it's attractive, at least to some of our clients. Some people really do want to dive in and build the whole thing out. And like Mark was talking about, plan it months in advance. Good for them, but that's not what we do for sure.
Yeah,
we're chopping it out.
The benefit has been quite clear on my end on just a single entity. You guys know I'm a serial entrepreneur. I've got a lot of businesses going, and I focused really to my lending practice in this Streamlined business media platform, and within 100 videos. And that doesn't mean 100 individual videos. I was talking for an hour. I'd run a podcast, talk for an hour. And sometimes I'd get 10 shorts out of that. Sometimes I'd get 30 shorts out of that, depending on how my ability to articulate the points and how short the points were. But what happened, boots on the ground, what happened was I was able to raise money from retail investors, from a family office, and land an institution on my private lending side. And all those investors stemmed from the simplest talking head media of just an expert like me talking about my craft and people agreeing, investors agreeing that, our approach to lending money was safe enough for them to invest, right? And like you said, Peter, we did have to make some adjustments on your end because you didn't know and I didn't know to tell you. You can't define a security. You can't offer an interest rate. You can't post something, in terms of agency debt without your NMLS number. There's
The
these
G
rules.
word.
How could I ever? Yeah. Yeah. You never say the G word, right? For those of you who don't know, the G word's guarantee. And in my humble opinion, anybody who's raising money from you who wants you to invest and they use the guarantee word, I run the other way because nothing's guaranteed. Not even treasuries, right? Which is the risk-free in quotes investment. I mean, there's still a chance that the government fails. So there is no real risk-free guaranteed investment. But no, you learn that. We learned that within a few months. And at the end of the day, it worked for me. It raised money. It got more loans on my plate. So it did exactly what I wanted it to do. And we've now put it in a place. Streamlined Business Media, just when I hit stop on this recording, I'm done. That's it for me, right? It's going to trigger some fancy stuff Mark set up. It's going to go into our meat grinder. It's going to get chopped up. It's going to be turned into chapters, into shorts, into long forms. It's going to have its bookends. It's going to have all the, the info details to reach out to me. And I'm done. I get to go have breakfast. I get to go do my next deal. I get to go work on my other projects. So I could not be happier about how this has turned out. And obviously now we've got some clients who are getting as stoked as I am, and that's just going to grow. So I thank you guys again. So let me ask you a question, Mark. Somebody comes to you. Let's say a private equity guy comes to you. He's never done a video, right? Never done a video, hates Facebook, hates social media, likes doing deals, but understands the value of media in this day and age. You can't ignore it. If you ignore it, you're missing out, right? What do you tell this guy or gal to do? Step one, how do they get off their ass and record and get started?
I think that's really comes down to the personality. I mean, there's a lead in here to advertise our services and say, go find these three guys you're looking at right now. So, that's like the answer you're supposed to get. That's the great one, but it's a personality issue. You kind of have to dig down in your soul and think about, what am I committing to for real? This isn't like I'm going to do a podcast for a couple of weeks and that's going to fix everything. This isn't, I'm going to jump on social media hard for a month and it's going to fix everything. I've been marketing myself quite aggressively for 9 months on LinkedIn. I've taken LinkedIn strategy courses. I work on a number of formulas. I have built my own CRM. I have things that I do consistently, and I have seen growth. But that's the truth behind this. It is about being consistent and getting that stuff out there over and over again. So I don't know what your personality type is, Mr. Investor, but here's what you're signing up for, and here's what it really takes. This is not a couple months. This is probably the rest of your work until some paradigm shift happens, or you reach a point where you don't need to do it again or make some other decision. So that's the first thing I want to talk about. I'm sure it's important to you. I'm sure it's going to make you more money. I'm sure you can do it. I'm sure we can help you streamline it. But just make sure you know what you're stepping in here, because this is permanent. And the guys who stick around, those are the guys who win. Like, just showing up will make you win a lot of these battles on social, doing your business media. And I think at the end of the day, that's, in coaching calls and things that we do here at Streamlined, I definitely have, a little bit of the heart-to-heart talk. People are obviously interested. They've invested in gear. They've kickstarted it. They want to do it. So, hey, let's do it. Now we got to talk about content generation and scheduling and how you streamline your own personal process in order to get that video over to us. So I think it's an exploration of your internal character, and maybe talking a little bit about your faults and really trying to exploit on your strengths and understand where you do the best job and how we can get you to do that. So there's no silver bullet, but we do know what we need to do. So let's figure out a way to do it.
A few points that you brought up. I mean, consistency is key. and just sticking around, right? I've said it many times in business, just get in the game and stay in the game. Get in the game and stay in the game. It's like in jiu-jitsu, get on top, stay on top, right? Get in the game and stay in the game. And, whatever gets you to make consistent content, do that. So for me, we're doing it right now. I schedule it in the morning, before I eat breakfast, before I get into other stuff, with people that I would be embarrassed to cancel on, right? And whether I want to or not, I'm going to hit record at 8 o'clock in the morning with two people I respect, and they're going to be there, and I'm not going to stand, just put it on the calendar and get it going. Once I stopped really being overly critical of myself, it got far easier. Once I stopped, frankly, I don't like hearing my own voice like everybody else. I'm embarrassed with some of the things I say and some of the stumbles and bumbles I make, just like everyone else. You know what makes that easier? Don't even watch your own stuff, right? Always tell the truth, know what you're talking about, say it on camera, hand it over to Peter and Mark and Kevin and our team, and then go do your work and let that media churn for you, right? So
that's the Johnny Depp model, by the way. Johnny Depp apparently doesn't watch any of his finished work that he's done. He's never seen any of his movies. Yeah, there's a couple other movie stars that are that way. I don't know if that adds to the creative process. There's a lot of things you could get out of it. And I think Johnny Depp is a very complex character. So, but I find that to be pretty cool.
There's something to be said about just doing the work, whatever the work is, right? Yeah. Sometimes the work is great. Sometimes the work sucks. But the more you do the work, the better the work becomes regardless. And Peter's seen this firsthand with me, right? I remember, look, I got this fancy light going on. It looks like I have a tan almost, right? I got the books in the background, right? When I first started recording, the light sucked and I look like this and I go, I'd stumble and bumble and talk like this. That. Now my face is in frame. Now I've got a light that makes me look halfway tan. Now I've got some books in the background that makes me look like I read a book or two, right? All these little things just started to add up. And now I think, once about 30, 40 videos in, I got comfortable with it. I got comfortable trusting Peter to post for me. And then boom, I was out, right? Yeah. And now I trust him and you and Kevin and our whole team to do additional companies that we're launching, additional clients on board. And I don't have to watch any of it. I love it. So Peter, I mean, again, you've seen this firsthand. Talk to me.
Well, I wasn't necessarily expecting to dive into this, but Mark brought up some really good points, and it's made me sit here and think about it. Like, dang, I wasn't trying to get called out at 8 a.m., but here we are.
I didn't call you out.
Well, I took it like that.
No, I didn't.
It's something that I need to think about as far as what it might look like in order for me to use a service like SBM, because I don't think that without a compelling why, it really makes any sense to just, open your camera and just jibber jabber. So I do think that Mark really hit the nail on the head when he said, there's a little bit of soul searching. And, in full disclosure, I think I'm kind of in that stage right now because I'm really grateful for Chris. You brought me onto a few podcasts, and once I get going and, the first 10 minutes, I'm a little nervous, and then, I settle in, and then we've had some really incredible conversations. And so I know that I have stuff to share. I know that there's at least a couple people that might value it. So I think for me, there's a lot of the imposter syndrome stuff happening. And I'm trying to figure out what the compelling why is behind whatever it is, the reason why I want to put myself on camera and kind of build this self brand and be advertising to a certain extent, so maybe we can talk more about that if you want, Mark. What do you think?
I have something to add for that.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm actually in the same position as you, Peter. I'm just I'm inverted. Take exactly what you said with, finding out the why. I have a couple things in my head that that block me. I'm aware of those. I'm working through those. I've been on YouTube. My ex primary YouTube account goes back to like the earliest days. I have some videos that reached, I don't know where they are. They got maybe 300 to 5,000, 300 to 500,000 views on them. All sorts of stories about these things. But like for me, I can produce the videos. I do make a lot of content. Bringing it to fruition is a bitch. So that's where Streamline is good. Like a lot of the content I produced traditionally has been much more complicated, much more planned, higher level of editing. I do enjoy some of that work, but it's laborious and it's not something that I can keep up, especially now that I have a kid and I'm trying to market myself. So I'm trying to figure out what my channel is. I reset my channel recently. I decided to focus basically on two really important things in my life. I should say one of those is family, but I'm not blogging about a family. It's work. And the other thing that I am talking about is building my hot rod and learning how to build cars and all that other stuff. So I'm in the process, just like you, Peter, of like, you know, I kind of got the why, I kind of got the experience, and now I'm just trying to kick myself to do it, to be consistent. And, you know, I have hundreds of hours of video shot, but you know, like what good's that unless you get it out there? So this is really like a relief. It's good to, it's almost like a good community that we've formed here in self-support. Chris is very much going to be the first guy running off the pier, jumping in the water, didn't check how cold it was. I will not jump in cold water. And that doesn't mean that either one of us is better or worse. It's just that we have different approaches. And at the end, there's a soul search. As much as Chris may churn through content a lot quicker, that's a particular stylistic choice. And that's an option that he is taking. And I could be getting in my own way, but I could also just have a little bit different standard and a different approach that I want to do in the content. And I've done some really great content on other channels. I had the professional editor and all the sweeps and everything. And I did it for a couple, you know, episodes. And I have honestly 5 seasons of that stuff written out and ready to go. It was so laborious to get that stuff edited with a third-party editor, with the flakiness that was there, that's what stopped me, to be quite honest. I can produce the content. I could write up the scripts. I generated all the images I wanted to use. I gave this person the timestamps of where those images should go to support what I was doing, because it was technical, you know, technical work. That was too laborious. I could have edited the stuff better myself. You know, I was spending more time dealing with an editor's bad work than doing it all myself. And that's what I was trying to get away from in the first place. So it's really a big black hole out here, and we're trying to help people be, you know, some of the light that escapes from the black hole. If we want to go, you know, astrophysics.
I like that.
Well, you know, I look at this as business media, right? We are streamlined business media, not social media, but business media. So when I've spoken about business my whole life, right? I started my first company in 4th grade, and I've, you know, launched 20, 30 companies between now and then, from playing the flute for a living to cutting trees to biodiesel bus company to private equity to, you know, real estate syndication to private debt to, you know, and all the way to a, you know, painting and resurfacing company now, and this Streamlined business media. So I've been at this a while, so it's easier, and I have the network to raise money the way I've done
That's
it, right?
huge.
So it's not like anybody has been watching my videos and go, "Oh, I like this guy. I've never met him before. I'm going to invest 100 grand," right? No, these are people that have known me for a long time, and now I've reminded them that I'm competent. I've reminded them that I'm a good steward of capital. So this is media that I've put into my own network that's taken me, you know, decades to build. So that is an advantage that I have that someone starting without a network, or somebody, you know, who hasn't, you know, run their mouth about something they care about for so long, it's harder to do that. I'll absolutely acknowledge that. And some of our clients have a different network. You know, they've built a different network than I have. So their, you know, results may vary. Absolutely. But again, to your point, Mark, one of the things you've said to me that just is stuck in my mind, listen, Chris, or listen, Peter, or listen, you know, whoever you are, business owner, would it benefit your business to have 1,000 more videos of you talking about your industry in a year or not? and to
Yeah.
get to that 1,000 more videos is really an hour a week. Because when we say videos, or you record an hour of videos and then it goes into the system, that might chop up to 15 shorts plus 3 chapters plus a long hour-long podcast, right? Well, that's 19 videos right there from 1 hour. So, and
Yeah.
the studies
The math
prove that
behind
it's
that we should point out is that if we have 200 working days a year and you are leveraging yourself across 5 social media networks, so 200 times 5 is 1,000. So that means you're going to be appearing in one form or another 1,000 times. That's just shorts. That's before podcast syndication. That's before maybe your social media team jumps in and supports this stuff with static posting. So this is the foundation. This is the bricks that the rest of the building are going to stand upon, in my opinion.
That's right. And you can get fancier and fancier, but the data shows that these rougher, we just bought a spray net franchise, and they're talking about the ugly videos have the best traction, meaning the most
ugly
raw,
ads,
less produced. Yeah. The more honest. And that's what I've really focused on, right? Because here's my production right here. I got my name and I got the light, and I put a shirt on, right? There's my production skills right there. Now you could geek out, and
We're
don't get me
fortunate
wrong,
you
there's
put the
plenty of
shirt
value.
on.
There's plenty of value to having fanciness, right? But I'm not a fancy dude. I'm more of a straightforward guy that and I've geeked out on that fanciness and spent hours, editing and showing sparkles around me, and played with all that stuff, and it's just a waste of time for me, right? And again, that's why we call it streamlined, right? This isn't production for hours and hours, take $1,000, $10,000, $50,000 and make a video media. This is streamlined business media, right? People need to get to know who you are, your offerings, see the competency you have in your industry, and off you go. And they'll just be reminded that you exist and all those things. So they're constantly reminded what industry you're in. They're constantly reminded that you're good at it, that you have competence, that you can teach them something. And it doesn't take much to do that. Again, the value I've received is huge, and I can't wait to apply it to, our future endeavors. And and off we go.
Can I support you on what'd you call it? The dirty advertising or
ugly ads?
Ugly ads.
That's what they call it. Yeah.
So this is
Peter, you're gonna be great at this.
Ugly tech.
No, that just means that they're not perfect. They're not set on a stage. So one of the reasons I left commercial media, meaning I got sick of watching anything with commercials in it, and I went a complete direction. Like there's a 5 or 10 year block of my life. I didn't even see movies because I didn't see any ads. I just kind of blocked myself. It was this guy. Both of you guys know him. He's in Denver. He's still around. He may very well be a nice guy. Okay, his name's Dealin' Doug. Do you know Dealin' Doug?
Oh, yeah.
And he'll sometimes wear like a Superman outfit, and he'll be in front of the green screen pretending he's Superman flying, and he's got rings across all the fingers, and he comes in and he's sort of like over compressed before Instagram filters are out. He was just this is the 90s, and he's still around, and he still sells cars, and he's just there, and he's there, and I just got tired of it. I couldn't put up with more Dealin' Doug because I'd be watching a show and I'd be enjoying it, and then it was just a slap in the face. This Dealin' Doug guy came in. It was overproduced. It was tongue in cheek. It was kind of funny. I give him credit and props, but he was also the person I was like, this is exactly why I'm out. This is I don't need this. I don't need that song in my ear. And the ugly ads rather, they're in that same vein, but where we were in legacy media 10, 20, 30 years ago, you were expecting, a proper studio setup and all these other things, a newscaster, talking head. That's still around. That's still definitely part of the option. That might be a format you want. But as the cameras became better and better at shooting video, and I mean, they're damn good, to be honest, in 90% of the circumstances, then the paradigm shifted as to what was being posted online. We went through a phase, I would say, 2000 to 2010, maybe a little later, where audio was the big differentiator. If you could get good audio on your podcast, video, whatever it was good. But now, kind of the standards have sunk a little bit, and you will see more ads that are ugly ads. My wife was just doing a series of those before we started, in the kitchen, unloading the dishwasher, talking to her base for A/B testing in ads. And she was just shooting it on her phone, doing basically a dirty ad. So what you see is that the zeitgeist, the what people are expecting, it shifts over time. And Snapchat, and I could name off a lot of other little things that happened, between Reels and Stories and Instagram and stuff like that. That was a paradigm shift. So now this easy, streamlined production it fits in to the current zeitgeist. It fits in. It makes sense. Please have good audio. Try to keep, I'm trying here, keep your head in the frame, but give us knowledge, give us something that's entertaining, and forget about all your fancy production. And I think that a lot of the ads, or not ads, rather the podcasts and videos that you see with the fancy swipes and the noises and overcuts, I think that those are going to end up being dated. And in the long run, this is just a Zoom call. And there's some damn fun Zoom calls I've been on. I wish I recorded those. And that's kind of what we're going for here. Get some good audio, but get good people and good knowledge in there. And don't worry about this, many decade old production quality or aesthetic that is not the standard anymore. And I think that we really have to help promote this realistic style, but also good content.
Yeah, let me piggyback on that and direct this to you, Peter. So I was Streamlined Business Media's first client, right? And I am the guy who, jumps in the lake and doesn't check the temperature. And here we go, right? And story of my life. Now we have some clients who are very smart, very accomplished, have done, 60, 80, $100 million worth of deals, right? And most people are real estate people, but that's not always going to be the case for our clients. But just in my network, a lot of real estate people have found value in this. So anyway, we've got these clients who are brilliant, who have done tens of millions of dollars of successful deals, who are experts in their field, and they can't get out of their own way. They can't stop judging themselves long enough to get the party started. And to get the party started really is, a few months of an hour a week and getting to that 100 video mark. Once you've done 100 videos, you're pretty good, right? How are we going to help those people? And I'm looking to you, Peter, because you've managed jiu-jitsu academies. It's a very scary thing. People are scared to come on board. They're scared to step on the mat. That they're scared to train with black belts. There's a lot of scared, because it's rightfully so. Like, you're going to get your butt kicked, but people still do it, right? So, what's your message to these brilliant people who can't get out of their own way?
Yeah, and I think that's such a great way to frame it, is when they can see that it's just them getting in their own way, like that any other kind of perceived block or all the different stories that they tell themselves aren't actually the thing that's stopping them. It really is just like, you're holding up the mirror. And so that's why I thought what Mark said was so compelling. It's like a heart to heart. So with any of the people that I've ever managed, I think it really depends. Like, you have to meet them where they're at, right? So for our prospective clients, I would encourage them to just jump on a call with us. Maybe we'll record it, maybe not. Like, we do have some pretty amazing conversations that I've wished we recorded. But if not, maybe we just look at it more as like kind of like an initial onboarding call, kind of help us get an idea of what it is that they're the expert in, and like, once we can get them talking about that field, they're going to realize that they are much more prepared for it than they thought they were. I think it's kind of like a clever trick is, like framing this as a Zoom call, and then be like, okay, how hard was that? Not that bad. Okay. That's all we need you to do for the video. Right. Like, it's just, it's a little shift in what's happening. We're on StreamYard because it's the easiest one, but you can just film on whatever platform you prefer. But the point is that it really isn't that much different from what you already know how to do really well. And if you can kind of frame it for yourself as like, okay, I just want to talk about the things that I think are important, like whatever I have going on, the people in your network are going to pay attention to that. Right. And so it does take you know, there's no substitute for meeting people face to face, going to lunch, you know, getting drinks or whatever. You have to build the network. And then once you've done that, all of the extra work, the gasoline on the fire is just all these extra videos and other content that you're posting that just kind of remind people that you know what you're talking about, you know, the industry and whatever else like is important to you. So I don't know how helpful that is, but that's kind of where we've landed so far.
Well, to bring it, you know, the rule if you train jujitsu is you have to talk about jujitsu, right? Just like vegans love to tell you they're vegans. So let's use a jujitsu example. I went to a tournament. I'm old, so I'm going against other people in their 40s. I'm small, so I'm going, you know, there's no really small old people. I'm one of the few, so I'm in the 180 pound bracket, right? And I've never, you know, I've never had 180 pounds on the mat. So I get in a tournament. My first match, this guy goes bonkers on me, absolutely bonkers, and I won. But I didn't win in a way that would make my professor proud. The guy got DQ'd, right? Because he was going, it was a brawl, right? But I didn't get hurt. I didn't get hurt at all. I was a little like, can you do this? I was looking at the ref like, are you allowed to, you know, can opener and do it? And he's like, no, this, you know, and then he was DQ'd, right? So a guy drove all the way down from another guy watching who was in our bracket, drove all the way down from Wyoming, and he quit right there and then. Right? He didn't get on the mat.
Wow.
And it was a bummer, right? And it was, you know, even going against this guy who was going insane on me and having, you know, one of the other professors was really upset, and I was new, so I didn't know you weren't allowed to, you know, go insane. But I didn't get hurt, right? I won. I got a medal, right? It was this cool experience. And that guy drove all the way down from this other guy drove all the way down from Wyoming and didn't get on the mat because he saw one tough match. And I was so sad for him, right? I thought it was such a bummer. I mean, he probably drove 4 hours, 5 hours, depending on where in Wyoming he was from. He paid his $100, you know, he put on his gear, and then he quit. So he got nothing out of it, right? Nothing out of it. Where if he would have just stepped on the mat, right? Because he was going to face me. Right. And I wasn't going to go bonkers. Right. And I'm the furthest thing away from intimidating on the jiu-jitsu mat. Right. But he missed out. Right. And I think you miss out on so much stuff just for not stepping on the mat. You miss out on so much stuff, not just for not opening up your computer and hitting record. You miss out on so much stuff for just not asking the girl out or reaching out to that guy to do the sale, or you name the example here. So I know I'm having a Tony Robbins moment here, but you just got to do it, whatever it is, right? When I used to teach saxophone, I'd be like, okay, lesson 1, here's how not to learn the saxophone. And I just sit there and stare at them, right? That's it. Here's us not learning the saxophone. By the way, we're doing a great job, us three right now, of not learning the saxophone, right? You want to learn the saxophone? Take it out of its case, put the reed in, stick it to your mouth, blow, and wiggle your fingers. Right? If you do that enough, I promise you'll be amazing, but you have to do it enough. But step 1 is to, you know, get on the mat, put the instrument together, you know, make the call, hit record. And it doesn't have to be that complicated. And, you know, Mark, we've all talked about this before, but Mark likes to remind me of kind of the wisdom behind all this. Your first videos should suck.
Oh, yeah.
Right? They will suck. Your first video and your second and your third and your fourth and fifth and sixth and seventh and on and on and on, maybe all the way to 100 are going to suck. But if you're competent and know what you're talking about, even if you stutter, right? Even if your camera view is this, right? Even if you don't have the fancy light that makes you look tan, right? If you're competent, people of value will see that competence, will hear that competence, will recognize it. You know, I'm coming at it from a money-raising world and a financial world. You know, somebody investing is not investing because you turn the light on or because your eyes are in the right frame, right? They're investing because you're competent and you know what you're talking about. You can make them money. It's a selfish thing, right? All those other things help. Yeah, sure. It helps to have good light. It helps to have a good camera. It helps. What helps the most is that you're good at articulating it. And if your dream is to hit family offices and raise $100 million, or if your dream is to get an institution to listen to you, well, you better get some reps talking, right? Because you don't want your first pitch to be to a family office or a institution. They're going to eat you alive, right? How about your first pitch be to a camera where nobody else is listening and you get 5 views on YouTube? That sounds like a good place to start. So I know I go off on these, and you guys have heard this before, but it's true, right? I say it because it's true.
Let me
Anyway.
reframe some of that stuff in a little bit more pragmatic sense. We have right now our kiddo's 4.5 years old. We just moved to a new area. A lot of stuff's changing for him, and there's 2 things we're working on right now: riding a bike without training wheels, and just getting new friends and meeting people. So both of those things, all 3 of us have mastered to one degree or another. I'm sure both of you guys are good on a bicycle. We don't need to go down that path. And we also know how to meet people and be social, get on a camera, talk like this. And it's always easier in hindsight, once you get over that hurdle, to look back and say, you know what was I so scared of in learning how to ride a bike? What was I so scared of in meeting these new people? So in these particular scenarios, I think it's important to try to get into a mindset of, and this is, me talking to myself maybe more than anyone else, try to imagine what that next level of mindset is after I get over the speed bump. The not wanting to look at myself in the camera or whatever it is. Obviously, that is something in my head. That's a blocking script of mine that I can get over. So think about what your life would be once you're over that and looking back, because I can tell our toddler right now, just go up, introduce yourself, ask what that person's name is. Oh no, that is very difficult for that person at that moment, and they'll get that skill. But we have to both appreciate the difficulty now, but also just look ahead 3 months, look 50 videos into the future. This will be trivial for you. So the fact that maybe it's scary or hard to start, I think that is one of your best indicators that you should be doing it.
I love it. So Mark and I met many, many years ago through music, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Mark is a very accomplished keyboard player.
No,
and
I'm not.
I'm
a hack.
Guess what? He sucked at the beginning, like everybody else,
suck.
Right? But you don't. You suck so little that you and I got to play hundreds, if not thousands, of gigs, right? Yeah. And when you started, you sucked, just like everything else. Yeah. Just like walking. Thank God we didn't not try walking because we weren't good at it.
Yeah.
So. This is the music teacher, the jujitsu teacher, and me talking now. You just have to do it. And I understand people need these pep talks when you're 5 years old and when you're 50 years old.
Yeah.
Right. So it's okay to be bad at something, and listen, this kind of stuff, you get over it quick. Right. I mean, Peter, you watched it firsthand with me. You watched me from nothing to 100.
Yeah. Yeah, so, they were not great at the beginning, but you could see you hit your stride, and it didn't take that long.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's what we're encouraging everybody who's listening to this. And we are talking to, a handful of specific clients right now, right? Yeah. That just they are brilliant. They're excellent at what they do, and they got to get started on this. They know the value, right? And, I think they need to do what Mark said. Consider what life will be like, or the advantages you'll get on this next level after 100 or 200 or 300 videos once you're good at it.
Yeah. Consider
how better you're going to be at it when you go pitch those family offices or those institutions or those high net worth individuals when you're raising money, or whatever your goals are.
Invest in self early.
What's it like when you are not a white belt anymore and you got a blue belt? It is different, right? You do have skills. So, and regardless of what you're getting a white or blue or purple belt in, doesn't have to be jujitsu. It could be media, it could be saxophone. It could be whatever. So, I didn't think I'd go. I've been saying this kind of stuff for many, many years. I spent a lot of time teaching music. And so this is, This is something that my mouth has said many, many times, and I might be a little tired of saying it, but I know it just needs to be said because this is fundamental stuff, right? For all of us, regardless of where we're at in our human journey here.
Yeah.
So,
No,
all
you're
right.
absolutely
Well,
right.
any other wisdom you want to add to that, either of you?
No, I think that kind of encapsulates it pretty good. I thought this was a great conversation to kick off this sort of stuff. I think you guys did one of these already without me, and I'm more than happy to come back and come and go or lead. We could do variations on the duos and the trios, maybe even a guest here and there. So this kicks it off really well.
There's always value in talking with smart, ethical, motivated, great human beings. There's always value in that, right?
Yeah.
And it's always valuable to talk to you guys. I appreciate it. And I'll tell you, I'll say it one more time. I really appreciate the system that you guys have built where all I have to do is invite people onto StreamYard, hit record. And then when I hit this end recording in the upper right-hand corner, I am done. And in a week, it's going to spit out and you're going to have these little shorts of me saying something cool and shorts of you guys saying something cool and chapters and the whole pod. For where I'm at in my life, this is amazing. This is perfect for me. So I thank you guys for, I would say helping me build it, but you guys built it.
Shout out Mark because he's the brains behind the operation for sure. Like I got one stripe on my white belt, and this guy's like high level brown belt, if not a black belt.
No, we all have different skills to bring to the table. Right now, it is there's a little bit more stuff on my shoulders as we set up SOP, and we deal with some of the onboarding and just tightening screws down all around. But
you're crushing it though.
Oh, thank you very much. The workload is leveling out. I took over Peter's job in editing for a while so that I'd be able to write manuals, be on the same page, and train other people. Now I'm having that team write manuals and train themselves and do the research. So that it feels like a natural progression here, and it feels like a formula for success. So, yeah, I mean, I just see us as being, the bricklayers, for people's media, for people's online presence. This podcast very well, if it gets us to Joe Rogan, I'm going to take it. That's not why we're doing this.
Right.
We're doing this because this is a necessity for a business to market, to highlight your expertise. And I know I scared the hell out of Chris probably 6 months, a year ago. I said, listen, dude, time's running out. You got to do video. You got to get your face on here. This AI stuff, it's able to write posts just like you. We can fake images. This is one of the last frontiers we have to prove you're a real person and know what the hell you're talking about, because AI can fake all the other stuff. So for no other reason, that is the fire under your butt that gets you motivated on this, because it's going to be a while before you can deep fake what we're doing right here.
Yeah. Well, at the end of the day, what you guys have built, what we have built is, as a client, I'm stoked. And guess what? Our other clients are stoked, and our future clients are going to be stoked. And this deal streamlines, on a regular basis, right? It's just getting easier and easier and easier, which is the whole point. So I appreciate it, gentlemen. Thanks again. We'll catch you on the next one.
Show. Yeah,
all right,
sounds good.
Guys.